Um, so thinking about like what makes this an effective script, just like the level of details. Like one of the things that I noticed that you did is like you scripted in like expected responses, so like you know exactly like where you want her to go in the conversation and like what exactly you want to hear. Um, when thinking about like what makes this an effective action step, I think it named like the highest leverage thing for her, like exit tickets, like collecting data on like the scholar's progress is a very important and like critical time in the lesson. And so like making sure like that is able to, that part of her math block is able to run smoothly every day allows her to collect data in an effective way, as well as like monitor scholar progress and ensure that they're actually learning each day. Um, and then what is it? Impact on scholars. So like if that action step is met, I think again it just like overall it'll increase. So like it she or you wanted to name that she would be able to get like higher mastery than what she wanted, and like if she's able to do this and like meet this action step, like she will definitely get that because then she'll have like techniques that will be able to hold her scholars accountable, not just through the exit ticket, but during the whole lesson, and like in transitions and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so like a lot of what you just said is the reason for a lot of the reason for the action step. I know you don't have like the history on like how this even evolved, but I did intentionally start with exit tickets and try to work backwards. Because I've seen things during her we do like with aggressive monitoring that I think she needs to improve on, but I don't think she can effectively aggressively monitor until students actually take the exit tickets seriously.
Yeah.
Um, so I do want to make sure that she has data for her kids so that she can better help them during intervention and during the we do, and it will probably help their behavior more because they know that she's going to help them with, because they are struggling like academically, they kind of don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing, like if you look at the actual scholar work. um, but and I think that is sort of like what the behavior is. And I wanted to just make sure she's able to work backwards from that. And then thinking about the things that I told her to do specifically. What do you notice about the effectiveness of her action step, um, of like squaring up, remaining in the perch?
So I think one of the things that was effective just in the communication, like naming that like we're revising last week's action step, like we're going to continue working on the same thing, but like we're adding more things to make it stronger. And then just like knowing that like she does need to think of like a different perch because like where she was standing was not the most effective. Um, and there's like and like with her hotspots, like naming the specific scholars that she knew to look for, so that way she could like position herself closer if necessary,
Yeah.
or like make sure that she was facing them like, when
Yeah.
she was giving the directions.
Yeah, and I think it was important for me to name that we're revising because I think it's important for her to feel some success.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of things that she did in this video are things that we've already practiced that she's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Like she told Kelby or someone thanks for the appropriate response when she corrected them, and the scholars didn't react. Like if you notice, like they're not reacting, and I wasn't in there the whole time. I actually left it. They knew the iPad was. Some of them knew the iPad was in there. I don't think they were all paying attention, but like. Part of the time I wasn't in there, and I wasn't in there when she gave that check for the response.
Right.
And she, they responded appropriately. She thanked them for it, which is something that we practice doing. We've practiced the direction piece, like managing the afterward, having them read a book.
Right.
I think her directions were really clear. I thought they were kind of repetitive, but they were clear. So like revising it lets her know that, hey, I have some success. We're going to leverage the strength, and like add these things to it, to be better.
Yeah.
What about the follow-up? What did you notice that was effective about just following up?
So just like naming explicitly like, what was going to happen. So like the fact that you were going to come back at least 2 times that week, and that you would be like coaching her on the specific things that you guys talked about to make sure that she's following through.
Yeah, and I have like the specific prompts, and we actually practice those in the meeting, like so that she would know what they look like, so it wouldn't be a surprise for her. And I think it's important for me to be as least invasive as I can, because they know that I'm in there all the time, because I've been in there every day, all the time. So the kids know. So I just want to be, and sometimes I'm like kind of even hiding, that little wall, and I'm hiding.
That's my favorite spot.
Yeah, I'm like kind of hiding there so they don't always know that I'm there. And we'll probably start trying to set the iPad up even like when they're not anyway. Yeah. So, now that you've seen like this video and like an exemplar script, so we talked about how detailed it needs to be and having the clear look for us, making sure that you, as time goes on, like the first one, you may not like have so much to go back to and build upon,
Right.
but making sure that each action step like builds upon the success of the next one and is as high leverage as it can be to impact scholar results. Like I thought exit tickets would help because you start backwards, she can have data, it can make a lot of other things that she does instructionally more effective later. So now I want to shift to thinking about Whitney in particular because I know she's of like both of those teachers right now. I feel like her performance is one that needs some more work. So if you think about the past 2 weeks and her gaps, and I have the Get Better Faster series. We don't actually have a video from her class, but if you think about like the Get Better Faster sequence and the tool, like what do you think are some gaps that are in her classroom right now?
So,
Oh, you haven't.
well, so what I did today is I just sat down and I captured just some notes from the last couple of days. And so, like, one of the things that I've seen, it's not necessarily related to this, is just like her overall willingness to try. And so, like, she like responds well to in the moment feedback and like actually like attempts to do it. But then like with that, it's like the level of fidelity, which is what I want to push her on this week. But when I'm thinking about the Get Better Faster guide, I think I want to see her rotations block like revamped and strengthened to make sure that like she's one, meeting with all groups, and two, that she's teaching all groups, and like holding them accountable for their learning. So I'm wondering if it's too much to push her back to like revising that routine, to strengthen it and like re-roll it out on Monday/Tuesday.
Okay, so you see like one specific gap is the routine, and you think that's a high leverage area. So I would agree that literacy rotations is actually when I've seen her not like. I think if I look at her data, most of her behavior comes from that block, and that's the one where she's just not managing student behavior well. So it is a high leverage part of the day. What else do you think is happening during, if you think specifically a guided reading, what's specifically happening?
So like one of the things that I've noticed is like it's like part of it is an absence of narration. So like she'll get caught up in like whatever's happening at her table and like won't look up to see what other kids are out of their seats or drawing pictures or making paper, whatever they're doing in that moment. And so like then because of that, when we're switching, now they're taking this behavior into phonics or bringing it to the table, which is then starting a snowball effect onto the rest of the class.
And then what about the work that kids are doing?
I mean, it's low quality work, if they're even doing work. So sometimes I've walked in, and like, and we've seen like them just working on excellence work at the table, and like there are other days like where they're just not doing anything at the table. So just making sure that like she's pulling like appropriate level work that's actually like rigorous, for each group to complete when they're at the table with her, and then having actual excellence work or having stuff for them to do when they're at the independent station.
Yeah. So I see, like, from what we just talked about, we talked about her, basically, like, the routine is lacking. Well, I wouldn't say it's lacking because there is a routine, like, to get them places. Is not effective as it should be. So the routine is lacking. And also, her management of kids is not the best management of kids. Like, she's not looking up, what you said. Like, she's just, like, correcting. She's doing whatever she, like, if it's yelling that she wants to do, is yelling.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that she wants to do. That's what she's deciding to do versus what she has been taught to do. And also, like, I call it a lack of preparation.
Yeah.
So, and to me, I just think she has not done the things, like she has not printed the resources she needs to print. she has not looked at her lessons to have them internalized.
Yeah.
So that she can teach. And I think like those things combined are the root cause of her of the misbehavior in the class, and what's causing her class to be in a negative space.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want us to think about as we think about Whitney's performance, like for you as a coach, and if you think about not just Whitney, but like everyone you're going to have to coach this week, what is going to be your first step to being successful with all these teachers this week?
Like making sure that she's actually prepared and like knows what she's supposed to be doing before she gets in the room and starts trying.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that they know, and how can you make sure that they know? What is your responsibility to making sure that they know?
So not just like looking at the lesson plans, but I think just like having more opportunities to touch in. Mm-hmm. So like we've been doing teachbacks for math, and we've been talking about like check-ins for reading. Mm-hmm. But we should I should be spending more time with her specifically like on guided reading expectations, like what should be happening at the table.
Mm-hmm. So like spending more time, but even if I would like roll back, and I know I keep pushing, but like if I roll back to like making sure that she knows what she should be doing in the room and that she's held accountable for it in
mm-hmm.
like a very clear way. So, we're starting 03s.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to start 03s with 3 or 4 people this week, how do you make sure that they know exactly what they should be doing and why they should be doing it?
I mean, could it be as simple as just having them bring it with them? So,
mm-hmm.
Great, we're meeting on Tuesday. Like, bring me your guided reading lesson plans for Tuesday, Wednesday,
mm-hmm.
and the scholar work that the kids will be working on for that day.
Yeah,
like an example of each packet.
Yeah, and I think that's that's like a thing that they can, like a quality check, but also like what's a coaching step? Like, in order for you to be able to do that best, what do you need to know about each person that you're managing? And thinking about, and I know we've been through a lot with second grade.
A whole lot.
We've been through a lot with second grade and with like staffing shifts. But if we're thinking about like really having like quality 03s and meetings,
mm-hmm.
and you think back to summer PD,
mm-hmm.
and because that's what I'm trying to get back to myself. Like, what did they tell us during summer PD? What am I being coached on at Relay to be able to make sure we're moving teachers in the right direction? Since we're starting 03s, what do I need to know as a coach to be able to help them?
I need to know exactly like what she's doing and where she's at,
mm-hmm.
And like be able to like name her strengths and her areas of improvement, and then like push her from there.
Mm-hmm. And you push her by naming a what?
A clear action step.
A clear action.
I finally got there. It took a minute. I was like, I'll get there, Tammy. I promise.
Yes. Did. So like all the things that you said are things that we need to do. Like we do need to check the quality of their work, lesson internalization. But also, like, if we think back to what we have all learned as coaches to do when we meet with teachers one-on-one, like, mm-hmm. we have to have, like, quality action steps.
Gotcha.
So, like, the action step for you as her coach is to make sure you have a quality action step. So you can write that down for all the people who you're coaching this week. And you'll do that by making sure you video and observe with the Get Better Faster tool in hand, okay. Because this will be very helpful to you. Like it actually helped me this week. And you'll like use it and you'll determine like whether or not they need a management action step or a rigor action step, and choose from that category. And then you will plan the high quality 03 in Whetstone using the See It, Name It, Do It framework. And so like you have an example. I'll still work to share it with you like online if you want to look at it, unless you want to keep the paper. But like using the See It, Name It, Do It to like plan it thoroughly so that the meeting goes the way that you want it to go. So with that in mind, your action step. So what's your action step?
So my action step is to write quality action steps for my priority directs for next week.
Mm-hmm. And how would you do that?
So